If this had happened, what would have been the outcome? How would it be if things were different? I really enjoy asking these questions in the context of football. If you remember, we recently made a video asking, what if Messi had never existed? And we pondered on that. Today, let's think about transfers. There are some transfers that, if they had happened, could have changed the course of football. I've tried to include names that have either won the Ballon d'Or or, even if they haven't, have had a significant impact on football. Other than these names, players outside this list wouldn't directly influence football history. Let's get straight to our list, but before we do, I'd recommend taking just 5 to 10 seconds of your time to subscribe to our channel and join our community. Additionally, you can support us by liking the video, and to stay instantly informed when we post new content, you can turn on notifications. Enjoy the video. Ronaldinho, who engraved himself in our minds as a legend of Barcelona and endeared football to the Y and Z generations, could have ended up at Manchester United before joining Barcelona. As you know, he came to Barcelona from Paris Saint-Germain. That summer, one of his suitors was Manchester United, coached by Sir Alex Ferguson. In fact, he had reached a preliminary agreement with United and was set to sign 2 days later. It was during those days that the then vice president of Barcelona, Sandro Rosell, intervened and convinced the player. Predicting an alternate scenario that didn't happen is undoubtedly challenging. However, if he had gone to United, the period from 2003 to 2008 would have been very different for Barcelona. A transfer of this kind outside Manchester United could have altered the future for younger wingers like Nani and Ronaldo as well. When talking about Ronaldo changing the course of football, we can't overlook another name, Ricardo Quaresma. If we look at the 2002 to 2003 season at Sporting Lisbon, Cristiano Ronaldo played on one wing, while Ricardo Quaresma played on the other. They were being closely monitored by Europe's top clubs, and it was clear they wouldn't stay with the team for long. According to a rumor, Manchester United, which signed Ronaldo that summer, was initially scouting Quaresma. However, once they watched and liked Ronaldo, they opted for him. Barcelona, which wanted Ronaldo, ended up signing Quaresma instead. I probably don't need to mention who came out more advantageous from this crossover. Barcelona, not realizing the magnitude of what they missed by not signing Ronaldo, would later understand the enormity of the opportunity that slipped away when he joined their arch-rivals Real Madrid. While Quaresma returned to his country almost without contributing much to Barcelona, Ronaldo would go on to become one of the greatest in football. Although he may not have won the Ballon d'Or or left as significant a mark on world football as the other names on our list, I still want to talk about him because of the impact he left on AS Roma. If Totti had ventured outside of Roma, perhaps he could have filled the missing pieces in his career one by one. Despite numerous offers from Real Madrid, the captain refused to abandon ship. He wanted to spend every second of his 25-year career in his beloved Roma. Of course, it wasn't just Real Madrid. Italy's three giants, Juventus, Milan, and Inter, occasionally knocked on his door. But a man who doesn't go to a global powerhouse wouldn't play for any team other than Roma in Italy. After making a splash at Santos, Neymar began to capture the attention of the entire world. In fact, despite not playing in Europe in 2012 and 2013, he was part of the extensive list of Ballon d'Or candidates. When Barcelona signed Neymar, he was 21 years old, but Real Madrid had discovered him much earlier. At the age of 10, he had participated in trial sessions with Real Madrid, where he was liked, but due to feeling homesick, he had returned to Brazil. Neymar recalls those days. When I was 10, Real Madrid invited me for a trial. I was very excited, very happy. I used to watch their training sessions and matches. It lasted for 4 or 5 days. On the last day, they wanted to take me to a match at the Mic Cup in Barcelona, but I chose not to go. I missed Brazil a lot and wanted to go back home. Neymar has won many things throughout his career, but considering his talent, it is said that he could have won even more. For example, he never won the Ballon d'Or. Perhaps, if he had been at Real Madrid, things would have progressed very differently. Messi, with his unique talent, is a player who, through any transfer, could change the course of football. The possibility of altering this course has crossed his path a few times, and we'll discuss some of those instances. Firstly, you might wonder what the connection is with River Plate. But if Messi had gone to River, Barcelona wouldn't be the first thing that comes to mind when we think of Messi. As is known, Messi had a deficiency in growth hormone, and the team that raised him, Newell's Old Boys, couldn't afford the hormone treatment. His father initially suggested River, one of Argentina's biggest teams, but they also didn't want to cover the expenses. If they had taken the risk and financed Messi's treatment, he wouldn't have joined Barcelona's youth system, starting his football journey at River. Perhaps he would have moved to another European team from there, meaning an organic bond tying Messi to Barcelona wouldn't have formed. Another event that could have changed history occurred in 2014. According to claims, then Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho persuaded Messi to come to Chelsea after a FaceTime conversation. They were willing to pay the record-breaking €250 million release clause to acquire Messi. However, Messi's father and former teammate Deco intervened, and the deal fell through. In subsequent years, with investments from Arab owners, Manchester City, developing both economically and sportingly, became the biggest suitor. Especially after Pep Guardiola took over in 2016, this desire grew even stronger. They were willing to pay Messi's release clause, and when his contract expired, they offered a fortune. However, Messi still didn't leave. If he had, everything could have been much better for both himself and the history of Manchester City. He might have won one or even several more Champions League titles, eliminating the need for City to wait until 2023 for their Champions League success. In 2007, Kaka, who won the Ballon d'Or, was one of the most coveted names in world football after Messi and Ronaldo during that period. When Manchester City started their initial investments in 2008, they had their eyes set on Kaka. The first offer was made in 2009 when Kaka seemed open to leaving Milan, but if he were to leave, the only destination on his mind was Real Madrid. That's exactly what happened. In 2009, he transferred to Real Madrid for approximately €70 million. His years in Spain took a toll on his career. Injuries, loss of form, and ultimately issues with getting playing time emerged, leading him to return to Milan. After that, as known, he played for Sao Paulo for a while before bidding farewell to football with MLS team Orlando. In 2010, Wesley Sneijder, who won the Champions League with Inter and reached the World Cup final with the Netherlands the same year, could have joined Manchester United. Despite Lionel Messi winning the Ballon d'Or in 2010, some argued that Sneijder deserved it, but he ended up finishing fourth in the voting. In the same summer, Jose Mourinho left the team, and subsequently, injury issues began to plague Sneijder. Perhaps if he had left during those days, he could have extended his prime period a bit longer. Rather than saying what if, we've come to a transfer where we can suggest that if the offer had been made earlier, it could have changed the course of football. Although Paolo Maldini did not win the Ballon d'Or, he is a legendary defender who won 5 Champions League titles with Milan. It must be acknowledged that winning this many Champions League titles is easier if you're at Real Madrid. However, Maldini achieved this with Milan. The first offer from Real Madrid was made when he was 34 years old. Approaching the end of his career and having spent his entire career at Milan, Maldini makes the following confession about this matter: "If I had started my career at an average team, I would have left from there. But I found an ambitious atmosphere suitable for me at Milan. I received several offers from English teams. There is stress-free football there. It doesn't suit me. Real Madrid was the only club in the world where I could find the same tradition and passion as Milan, but they had never contacted me. They only made an offer once when I was 34, but it was already too late. I felt too old." In 2012, Luka Modric joined Real Madrid, and 6 years later, he won the Ballon d'Or. A year before joining Real, Chelsea had made an offer, and an agreement had even been reached. However, the club's owner, Daniel Levy, as he always did, preferred to keep the player rather than selling to other Premier League teams and decided not to sell Modric. Luka Modric describes those days in his autobiography, saying, "In my opinion, it was time to make a move. I wanted to fight for trophies and be a champion. At the same time, I knew I wouldn't achieve these by staying at Tottenham. So, I wanted to go to a more competitive team." We've discussed some transfers that could have changed football if they had happened. But what about names where we could say, what if they had never left? Certainly, there are such instances. For example, Eden Hazard should never have left Chelsea. The Hazard at Real seemed as if he were brought in from another planet. Similarly, Andriy Shevchenko should never have left Milan. He was a player who had become the top scorer in the Champions League 3 times, won the Ballon d'Or once, secured the 3rd position twice, and was one of the top 10 goal scorers in the history of the Champions League. He joined Chelsea in 2006, but the Premier League was not a good fit for him. In his 2 years at Chelsea, he could only score 9 goals. If there hadn't been issues with the management, and he hadn't had to go to Juventus, it would have been much better for Ronaldo to stay at Real, maybe even retire there. On the other side of the Madrid city, there's Antoine Griezmann's Barcelona adventure. If he hadn't squeezed in the Barcelona chapter between 2016 and 2018, his career would have taken a different trajectory, considering his 3rd place in the Ballon d'Or rankings for those years. Yes, some transfers that could have changed football history if they had happened were like that. I hope you enjoyed the content I presented to you today. I'm looking forward to having you join us for more football videos like this. Goodbye.